Good morning. So this will be the world debut of Tally Ho, World War I Wing Commander. So I've spent, since starting on Gladiators, I was working on the same game engine for a World War I biplane game, campaign game. And so the last week and a half or so, 2 weeks, I've been able to finish it. And have been continuing playtesting while wrapping up and tightening up the rules. But at the same time, I've asked Dell, my business partner, to do the cover and all the art for the book. So this won't be ready to go until Dell has completed the cover art and all of the art for the book. So we are truly doing this one together. I have, again, written the entire game, campaign rules, and it's using Gladiators game engine, obviously with some restrictions that would be relevant for a war game. This is limited to a Wing Commander 1 year tour of duty campaign game. You can only lose the game if you cannot put a plane or a pilot in the sky, or if you fail to do any mission at all in a month. You can be fired or you can be replaced. Outside of that, the goal of the game is to finish the 12-month campaign. If you can do that, you are a winner, and you get a grade. You'll get a score based on your campaign points. So you can replay or play, invent your own, or do your own campaign tour duties and score campaign points, and always basically do a high score. However, the game is hard. It's going to be difficult to finish a full year as the Wing Commander. So it is set up based on a fictional flight squadron number 615, the Hounds. For those who don't know what Tally-ho means in British, Tally-ho is let's go. It is the war cry for the fox hunt. It is what is said as they unleash the hounds to hunt the fox. So this particular flight squadron will be called the Hounds. These are the pilots that are in the 12-man unit. We have an ace, Manic, who is named after a real-life British ace. We have then invented pilots, Colby, Shackley, Morris, Benson. So what will happen is every month, at the end of every month, you get to roll up new recruits and new aircraft to replace, pilots that are either killed or lost in action, or in airplanes that have been shot down. But you have to make it a month to bring in new recruits. So you want to be smart about what pilots and what planes you put out in missions. So this is a quick, world debut demo game. So I'm the Wing Commander. And again, I have decided to use this rule. So there are 10 types of missions in the game. Every month, the actual 12-month tour of duty puts missions in order in which you have to do those missions. You have a couple of choices. You can literally skip missions, or you can use Dawn Patrol to replace a mission, or you can do the mission. And there has to be some leeway there, because if you're beat up, if you've lost a lot of planes and pilots, you're obviously going to curb how much workload you can do. Because also injured pilots that are in the infirmary cannot fly missions for they're out for 2 missions. All right, so the campaign starts January 1917. And yes, they did fly sorties year-round in World War II. However, obviously, there were days and weeks in which flight groups were totally grounded due to weather. But this game does not attempt to tell you what date it is or what the weather is. It just states it's January 1917, and there are 4 missions that I have to complete. There are 4 missions for every month. And the first mission of the campaign is probably the hardest mission in the entire game. I set that up for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted people to see how important it would have been to establish it for your tour of duty to do a long recon of the enemy. But because it's a long recon of the enemy, it's an 8-turn session, and that 8 turns could decimate your crew. There are no hard and fast rules as to which pilots you can put in which planes, and there are the only hard and fast rules is you got to send up at least 1 pilot, and you can't send up more than 6. So your biggest squad that you can send out on any mission is 6 pilots. And so you want to be careful because you only start with 12 and you don't get any replacements until the end of the month. And replacements always start at the bottom rank. And so we'll talk about how this works. So aces are the highest possible ranked, 5. 5 is their hardened level. This is how much stress they can endure before they are shot down. So new recruits will always start with 1, which means any enemy that they engage on the battlefield that causes 1 stress, that's it. They're going to be in God's hands. And there is a rule called in God's hands. So when a pilot suffers his stress or more in a mission, you roll to see whether he's killed in action, POW, missing in action for a chance to be recovered, or is just flat recovered because he might parachute down into in friendly territory. Okay. So, I know I'm going over a lot here. I don't want to read the book to you, and I don't want to spend a lot of time. I don't want to give anything away in the book. I've said it before, I think Gladiators is one of my most elegant and most enjoyable games, and it led me to want to make that biplane. And I talked about making a World War I biplane game a couple of years ago using a deck of cards, and I couldn't come up with the game that I wanted to play. And in working on pro wrestling, which became Gladiators, I refined it toward a war game, and I decided to go ahead and finish all of this. And I'm so happy with it and so excited about it. I invited Dell to do the cover and all the art for it. So this ought to be a wonderful collaboration. I mean, Dell's my business partner. We share everything, but I rarely do. I don't do any art for his books. I don't generally write the rules for his books and vice versa. So we do collaborate on rules, and we do give each other advice, and we are working on, of course, Space Age of Man. We'll probably spending more time developing together. But it's kind of fun because I think Dell's covers and artwork is so cool, and it'd be great to have somebody else's flavor for the artwork. So I think it'd be great to see this game, but with Dell's artistic vision of what this should look like for the book. So I cannot wait to see the finished product. Okay, so as I said, the very first mission of the campaign, when you start your tour of duty, January 17th, mission 1, is strategic reconnaissance. And that is really the hardest mission to start the game on. So I'm going to replace that with, again, as you can do anytime you want, you can replace a mission that's too difficult. Or if you don't have the combatants left, if you've been decimated, you're going to want to grab Dawn Patrol. This is a simple 2 or 3 man squad. You cannot do 6 men on this. You can't do 1. You can do 2 or 3. So we're going to put up Jackson. And again, I already have them assigned to planes. So in those who've played Gladiator, if you've played Gladiator, you'll understand how this works, the single roll system for mass resolution of a turn. So we're going to resolve every single variable in the battlefield on 1 roll of the dice. Okay, so that's how Gladiators works. That's how this war game works. Okay, the first number is technically it's their stress level. It's their rank. So it would be their literal rank, but it's experience. It's called experience. And when they suffer hits from enemies of equal to or more than that in any mission, they are again in God's hands, and they're technically shot down. Okay, that doesn't mean they're dead, but their plane is destroyed. They're rated for their experience, which actually starts at 1 and can go up as they survive through the months. Their second digit or second set of digits is their ability to pilot the aircraft away from danger. And there's a limitation on what pilots can have rated wise. And the last set of numbers is the range in which they cause or achieve damage against opponents, or achieve the target if they are, let's say, shooting photography, or they're trying to hit a ground target with a bomb. That's what these numbers are. So Jackson is a 2. His defense numbers are 3 and 11. And his attack numbers in the air are 2 through 5, and his ground attack number is 10, right? Weber is 1. So whatever goes down in this Dawn Patrol, Weber will be the first person eliminated, because there is what's called target determination rules, TDR. So the TDR will tell you who gets shot at first or who goes down first, etc. And then there's Tolbert, who's a 3. He's the highest ranking member of this particular squad. He also has a 4 defense. Remember, these are not called, this is called experience. This is called pilot rating. This is called aircraft. So the last set of digits, which is really your attack abilities, that's your aircraft. So I could put Jackson in a different aircraft, right? Or when a new aircraft comes, I could put Jackson in the new aircraft. Okay, so this is your aircraft. This is your pilot. So the first 2 sets of numbers are pilot. One is experience based solely on their experience, their piloting rating, which is going to be 1 number or maybe 2 numbers. It'll never be a row of numbers. It'll never be a range. And the plane itself will very often have a range of numbers, but it could have just 1 or 2 numbers. Okay, so Tolbert is the most experienced going up this morning on Dawn Patrol. And again, he has a plane that is solely built for ground assault. So this would be for, and this is something you need to pay attention to when you pick your aircraft for missions. If you're doing a bombing mission and you don't put any planes in the air that are equipped to attack the ground, you can't hit any ground targets. So you need to have a number from 8 to 12 in the second set, or you cannot do damage to ground targets or shoot photographs of ground targets or establish reconnaissance and mapping of areas, right? So some are actual attacks, some are going to be mapping, some are going to be photography, etc. Okay, so, but to hit that successfully, you got to have an aircraft that can do it. So Jackson is in an aircraft that's a pretty damn good, again, I don't identify the aircraft. For those who are history buffs, you can assign aircrafts to these number ranges. You'll know the Sopwith Camel by their number range. You'll know bombers, like this is a bomber, by the number range, right? So this is primarily a bomber. You do not want to get into a dogfight. So this guy is in a plane that is primarily against ground targets, which will be infantry, cavalry, tanks, bombing targets, etc. So this vehicle is built to attack ground targets. Let's put it that way. However, it does not have a dogfight rating. So you can look at it, the first rating, 2 through 6, will be dogfighting, and 8 through 12 will be ground assault, right? So this plane cannot protect these other 2 planes in the air. Okay? All right, so I think that's understood. Every mission in the book, there are 10 mission types. They will all have the number of turns you must survive, or achieve your goal, and what it's worth if you survive. So, for instance, a bombing mission, all you have to do to successfully do the mission is survive for the turns. That's it. That's all you have to do to score the points. If you're trying to target something, and you'll see there are missions where I might be trying to identify the rail yards. I have to actually target that, and I have to get that for it to count. That doesn't mean we don't survive and come home, but it would be best to target those things during the mission, right? Okay. So all I need to do is survive 4 dice rolls. And again, what's great about Gladiators and what's going to be great about this mass war game is a turn is 1 die roll. So the most you're ever going to see is 8 turns. And when those turns are over, the battle's over, whether it just means your pilots turn around and go home, or it means that the enemy turns around and finishes what it's doing and goes home, or whatever, right? So all we have to do is our Dawn Patrol. It's only 4 turns, right? And you make 1 roll. So turn 1, folks, is Jackson, Weber, and Tolbert take to the air early in January of 1997. This is our first mission. This will be replacing my strategic recon mission. So mission 1, Dawn Patrol. Turn 1, what is the roll? The roll is an 8. 7, excuse me. I got to read my own dice better here. 7. Okay, so the first thing we do is we look to see if there's any engagement. 2 through 5 does not engage, and there's no ground target of 7. 3 through 5 does not engage, and 8 through 12 does not engage. Over here, do we meet planes? Again, this every mission will have this. It'll tell you what it is. It'll tell you the turns you have to survive and what it's worth if you succeed. And it'll tell you who your enemy combatants are live in the game. That doesn't mean you're going to meet them all. And it doesn't matter when you meet them. You could end up facing artillery shots and infantry shots and 2 planes. But on this turn, for instance, nobody is engaged. So we're flying our dawn patrol and we have not seen any of these planes. So turn 1, right? And this would be our first leg of the path. This would be clear, right? So we've done our first turn of our dawn patrol and it's clear. Second turn. 3. We have engaged the enemy. All right, so that means we have 2 guys will do damage to enemies, and it's simultaneous, like gladiators. They have 2 guys that will do damage to us. So I rolled a 3, though. I have 2 of my fighters defend themselves on 3, so we will take no damage, right? However, Tolbert would potentially take damage, so Tolbert will be hit by one of them, and we will hit twice. So what we want to do, and we start by damaging, we can choose who we want to damage. They have to start with the weakest guy first. So they choose to attack Weber. He defends himself in good flight. So in his pilot rating, he avoids damage. And then they have to attack the second guy. That is Jackson, because there is a TDR. So let's talk about this. The TDR for enemies is the most powerful first. So TDR for the bad guys, just so you know, this is the tutorial. Bad guys is the strongest opponent. So they would go after my ace, for instance, if they needed to, right? So TDR, bad guy, strongest is I rolled a 3. They have 2 that can do damage, and they would both choose the toughest guy, Tolbert, who cannot defend himself. So Tolbert, they come out of the clouds. And they come after Tolbert, and they do Tolbert for 2 damage. So Tolbert suffers 2 stress. He is down to 1 before he's shot down. My pilots, I get to choose who I want them to attack. So I successfully attacked on 2 of these, 2 and 3. And we could take out one guy, or I could actually eliminate plane 3. Or I could have both of them target plane A and take them out. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to shoot down. We're going to have Weber and Jackson shoot down plane A. Hot damn. So we have a kill. That's turn 2. Turn 3. And remember, they don't have to stay engaged, right? We're rolling. This all goes down, but that doesn't mean we stay engaged. Right? A 9 is the roll. So turn 3 is a 9. Well, they don't have any engagement on 9, and we don't have any engagement on 9, except Tolbert could attack a ground target, but you'll notice there are no ground targets. So if this was a recon trip, that 9 would allow him to bomb or strafe a ground target. As it is, Tolbert is trying to survive. He is in a dogfight with 2 planes. And Tolbert could, if he had a ground target on 8 through 12, could target a ground, whether it was photography, scouting, or literally dropping bombs or whatever, or strafing infantry, cavalry, etc. So Tolbert would be successful if he had something. He has nothing, so clear. The final turn, and we will go home. We will be home free. Turn 1, early dawn patrol, and we're going to roll an 8. And again, Tolbert would be able to do something if he had a target. So what happened is we encountered these planes. We shot one of them down. They damaged Tolbert, but that's it. The engagement ended. We had a little dogfight. They took off. That's how you would understand that clear. And we survive. So we land and we earn CP. We're going to earn 1 career. We're going to earn 1 campaign point. Safely return, and we enter a CP point. So I already have a CP point for my campaign, and I didn't lose anybody. Although Tolbert suffered 2 stress, he was not shot down, and we're good to go. So there it is, folks. That would be mission 1 of the new Tally-Ho World War I Wing Commander. You can name your wing commander. You can also rename your pilots. You can also set these numbers aside as planes, and before every mission, choose which pilot you want to put in a plane. I already attached them to planes. And there you have it, folks. Now, the big rule after this is none of these pilots can do back-to-back missions. So Jackson, Weber, and Tolbert now would be free of mission 2. They cannot do mission 2. So these guys could not be used for the second mission, which is already in the campaign. You don't roll. The missions are in order. And then you look up the mission and you play out that mission. But the third big piece of this, after we come home, between missions, all planes are and stress levels are relieved. So Tolbert will automatically refresh for his next mission. Okay. The plane itself is not damaged enough, right? The planes are either going to be shot down or don't worry about it, right? Okay. But between every mission, we have to make what's called a scramble alert roll. Between every single mission, we could be forced to scramble and go into defense. If I roll a 7, 9. So scramble alert, 9. Clear days, baby. So then I would go on to mission 2, which might be 4 days later, 3 days later, whatever. It doesn't make any difference. And it would still be, now mission 2 in the campaign. I don't know what it says. Mission 2 might be, I already know what it is. It's balloon busting. So then we would go up and we would actually look up the mission balloon busting, and we would put all those enemy units in front of us, and we would then go out to achieve the balloon busting mission. And of course, during balloon busting, you could bomb stuff, you could shoot down enemy planes, you could get, whatever. But your goal is to destroy the balloons. However, you could end up shooting down 2 other planes and killing some infantry and busting the balloons. It doesn't matter. Your goal is to knock out the balloons. If you knock out the balloons, you can actually leave the mission early and count it. So if it's an 8-turn mission and you achieve your goals in less than 8 turns, that's it. You can wrap up and go home. No questions asked. So you're going to want to end successful missions early because you don't want to lose pilots and planes, right? However, like anything, you could stay out there and try to bomb a few things, right? And the goal of the game is just to do your missions, just to resolve what you got to resolve. The war itself is out of your hands. You don't know how well the war is going. It doesn't matter how well the war is going. You just do your job, right? And you'll have 4 missions a month, plus you have to scramble. You have to check a scramble alert between every mission. The scramble alert will be the thing that could truly decimate so let's say we get back from the successful mission, and then there's a scramble alert, and I send up 6 of my pilots that are not already. Remember, these guys can go up if they have to in a scramble. So scrambles, the pilots are allowed to take the air if they have to. But if it's a scramble, I'm going to be going up solely with air-to-air fighters. So I would go up, I would put up anywhere from 2, 5, 6 max. I would put 6 men in the air, and I'd put them all in the dogfighters, 2 to 6. You want the highest ranges from 2 to 6. So you want all those planes. You don't want to be concerned about ground at all when you are in a scramble alert. You are going up to shoot down enemy bombers and enemy planes. So it's going to be very important, like on a dawn patrol, that not all of your best fighters are out there, because if they all get shot down and you have a scramble and you don't have anybody that can do damage in dogfighting, you're screwed. You're just going to suffer and take losses. So you really do have to manage everything. You have to manage your pilots, and managing the pilots is simple. It's just their rank, which makes them tough to stress, and their defense, which does allow them to avoid damage. And then, of course, their plane, the plane that they're in. So Mayock is in a very good plane. He can dogfight 2 to 6 in this plane, and he can even hit ground targets on a roll of 12. He also defends himself on 5 and 9, so he can avoid ground fire. So this would be infantry firing at him, and he can also avoid dogfight damage. And he can suffer 5 stress before Manic will get shot down. So there's our ace, Manic. The Red Baron is in the game as well. However, it just says ace. The ace could be anybody, but the Red Baron is in the game. And there you have it, folks. That's how it works. And it is phenomenal. So there are some pretty serious rule restrictions in this versus Gladiators. For instance, you can only damage 2 through 6 is only aerial damage, and 8 through 12 is only ground target damage. So you need to make sure you have planes that can do all those things. If you're going to be an escort mission to support bombers, you want to put your best dogfighters up there to escort bombers. If you are the bombing mission, you're the bombers, you're going to want to put your best bombers out there. So for instance, our best dogfighter here, 2-6. We also have a 2 through 4 dogfighter. We have our 2 through 5 dogfighter, and we have a 3 through 5, and a 3 through 6 dogfighter. So if it's a range of 2 through 6, that's a dogfighting ability. If it's 8 through 12, that is their ability to, again, do ground damage. So if we were sent on a so this is technically a bomber. This is a bomber. This is a bomber with a gunner. So you can see this as a tail gunner that can do damage, and a bomber. This is a fighter with a ability to drop bombs. And then, of course, here we have another bomber with a decent gunner, right? And that could even be a two-seated plane where you actually have a tail gunner, right? Okay. So that's how this works. And so those are pretty strict rules. And then a strict amount of rules on how many planes. You can put up 1 to 6 planes. They can't go in back-to-back missions unless it's a scramble. Then they could get back into the air to protect their front or to protect their base, right? If they hit their maximum in stress, for instance, Weber, technically, the rules state TDR, they're going to go after the hardened player first, or the hardest target first. So they went after Tolbert, but had there been 3 ones, 2 of those would have been shot down. I would have made an in God's hands roll to see if they survive or if they're killed in action, etc. The plane itself would be lost. So you would literally delete this data from your notebook. And then you'd have to wait. And by the way, if they come back, they're injured. They'd be in the infirmary for 2 missions. But anyway, long story short, you'd be down 2 planes, and you can't get new planes unless the mission itself tells you get new planes, or between months. So every month you automatically get to replace all pilots that are lost. So if you lose 4 pilots in a month, you get to replace all 4 with new recruits. You have to roll those guys up. They all start with 1 experience, but you get to roll up their pilot rating. And you get to create and have new planes. So if you lose 4 planes in a month, 5 planes, you get 4 planes back. You'll get all those planes back, but you have to roll up those planes. You don't get to choose. You don't get to just get that 2 point. So against this, you lose this fighter. That sucks. I mean, that is the, so I put my ace in the best fighter here, but I could put any of my pilots in this aircraft. If we lose this aircraft, it can't be replaced. Because in the new plane recruitment role chart, this plane does not exist. So this plane, if it's lost in your 1-year tour of duty. It's gone forever, right? So some planes, like the Red Baron's plane and this plane, are rare, right? Okay, so anyway, that's it, folks. And I don't attempt to recreate history, so to speak. It is based on a fictional squadron of 12. Men will die, planes will be lost, you will get new recruits. What's also cool is if a player survives, if Jackson survives this first month, he automatically goes up to a 3. And then eventually Jackson can work up to a 4, and then eventually Jackson will become an ace, right? You could end up with 5 or 6 aces, literally. You can end up with a very hardened squadron, right? And again, we are nicknamed the Hounds, and the name of the game is Tally Ho. So you can imagine the Hounds going after the Foxes. And there it is, folks. That is the latest game. All that's going to hold this up from being published is waiting for Dell to complete the cover and the artwork for the book. Once that's done, this will be released. So, meanwhile, I'm playing it and enjoying it. I already know, again, playtesting wise, I already know how it all works great from my pro wrestling playtesting, and I already know how well it works with gladiators. The only thing I had to really work out was how I wanted missions to be, the rules around mission success, and the rules around campaign points, and the rules around how long. So you think 4 turns, that's too short. No, it's a quick dawn patrol. And we had an encounter, but we could have had an encounter on all 4 turns. So imagine that would have been an epic dogfight the whole time we were in the air. It turns out we ran into them on our patrol. We shot one down. Tolbert was almost stressed to the point where he got shot down. Fortunately, we broke up and went our separate ways. But this could have been an engagement on 4 straight turns, right? So, all right, everybody, have a wonderful week and look forward to this. I've got to tell you, Gladiators has been, for me, it's been one of the most rewarding game systems I've ever created. It has been so much fun to play, and it has so inspired me, this elegant system, this elegant game engine, that it so inspired me to make that biplane World War I game I've always wanted to make. You could do this with a submarine game. This could be done with a battlefield, tank warfare, or even armies of civil war. These concepts can easily be, customized to all kinds of different styles of war, right? So, but for me, the primo, experience I want to have is managing, a squadron through World War I, or at least through the first tour of duty, or this tour. Now, this tour in the book assumes it's 1917. So you will be playing the year of 1917. So it's just 1917. You start in January of 17. You end in January, or you'll end in December of 17. That'll be your tour of duty. But you can do anything you want. You can make this 1914. And you can make it a longer, or you can make multiple tours of duty. You could shorten the tours of duty to 6 months. I don't care what you choose to. I've always said this, make my games so they're infinitely customizable, and so you can do what you'd like to do. But I provide you with the rules that allow you to play. And this game will be hard. I mean, this first session appeared easy. And we did all right. We got away. It was only 4. It's just a simple dawn patrol. However, remember, I skipped the very first mission and replaced it with dawn patrol, to get our feet wet. And we've earned a campaign point. So, if I get to the end of this tour, all of my campaign points will tell me what my high score was. So then I could turn around and do it over and see, if I can beat my high score. Or again, even if your game comes to an end in the 5th month, you would at least know how well you did before you were fired from your job, right? So anyway, our next mission, according to the actual campaign book that's in the game, would be balloon busting. And that'll have its own enemy units. It'll have its own set of turns, its own campaign points, and it'll have its own enemy units. And then we pick our next pilots and what planes I want them in, and we take to the sky and we resolve that. And this, again, I think I resolved this in 2 minutes? I could resolve missions. So you can imagine, you could play the entire tour of duty, all 12 months, which is, 4 missions times 12. What is that? 48? 48 missions plus your scrambles that could happen to you randomly. Lordy, you could still finish an entire tour of duty in probably one long afternoon, or maybe over a course of a couple of days. So, all right, everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye-bye.